This is Off the Record, a podcast brought to you by the Valdosta Daily Times. I'm Dalton, and this is my co-person Desiree.
Hello.
Today on Off the Record, we're with Rohna, an experimental outfit from Tampa, Florida, with roots in classic rock, neo-soul, punk, alternative, and psychedelic rock. So if y'all could just introduce yourselves, we get started.
All right, I am Nick. Play guitar and do some singing.
I'm Austin. I play guitar, and then that's pretty much it.
Hey, I'm Andres. I play bass and do some singing as well.
I'm Luca. I play the drums and do a little bit of singing. I'm 19, and we're all from Tampa.
Nice.
Yeah.
So y'all met in high school, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, East Lake High School, so like kind of a little bit outside of Tampa, but we all went to the same high school, like a year separated. So he was graduated 2015?
15 I graduated, yeah.
16, 17, and 18. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it was like all consecutive, really funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I graduated 2015 also.
Sweet.
Yeah, nice. Best class, right?
Yeah, that's nice. For sure. They don't know.
So I insulted everyone by calling you young. You're all
Yeah, you're the odd person out
graduated
this
in
time.
2007. God,
Oh,
yes,
wow.
but we children.
yeah.
It's cool. It's fine. It's whatever.
So did you all meet through school, or was it like outside of school and you just found out that you went to the same school? Or like...
Kinda. I first met Andres back when I was in middle school, actually, playing in my first punk rock band, as most middle schoolers do.
Yeah.
He filled in for bass for the first show I ever played in the local area, and then since then we kind of just became friends. So I didn't primarily meet him through high school, met him more through the local hardcore scene.
Yeah.
And then I met Austin at a local show. I didn't really ever talk to him in high school. And then Luca I did meet in high school.
I actually had a class with Andres. We had biology together in 10th grade. Yeah. So I knew of these people, but we never actually hung out or anything until after high school.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like y'all are pretty plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was talking to Luca and Nick, y'all mentioned that Andre, you got them all kind of hooked up with the whole Oso and the sidekicks.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so my friend James Lewis, who plays in a metal band, he does work with the big promoter Rory. He works for Your Friends Booking.
Okay,
and
yeah.
he pretty much does from medium tier to really big artists that come through pretty much all around Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And so with my past bands, we've done metal shows for him where we open up, you sell tickets and stuff, and the ticket part can be kind of a pain, but you kind of have to do it to prove yourself that you can bring people to these shows, or else from a business aspect it's pointless to them. But
right.
anyways, through that connection, I've kind of kept my eyes open for this could be a good show for us to do. We try to keep it pretty sparingly when we do those, because you don't want to overplay those type of ticket shows.
Mm-hmm.
But we've done a few. We've gotten some really good opportunities from that type of thing, like the Oso show, and then that Last Dinosaur show kind of came from that connection as well. So
Yeah.
we've gotten some really good shows just from being a pretty young band still, just from that. So
Yeah.
pretty grateful for that.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that you guys are playing with such big acts as young as you are.
It's fun too, because from their perspective, there's they get to have a good local that's bringing maybe a few extra 30, 40 people that maybe weren't going before, and then we benefit because we get to play on a bigger stage, we get to play in front of some of their new fans, so we kind of it's a good transaction to have there with those kind of bigger touring bands that are coming through. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you get to meet some of those guys?
Oh yeah, everyone was super chill, especially from both of those bigger shows that we played, especially a lot of people from Oso, Future Teens, and Sidekicks were all super chill. They talked to us afterwards and everything.
Yeah.
They were really humble people, really, really nice people. Just down to earth, wanting to really do nothing but talk about the music and stuff, and just kind of swap influences and stuff like that. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Even the dudes from Last Dinosaurs, they were the biggest band we probably played with so far, and they're from Australia and everything.
Mm-hmm.
all the way overseas, some people would maybe think that they're like cocky or anything, but they're the nicest dudes. Like they were chilling, they were watching our sound check and everything. They're cool guys. So.
And the Born
Ruffians
Born
were
Ruffians,
super
yeah.
cool too. They let us use their drum set and everything too.
That was nice. Yeah, really great guys. Really interesting sound too. I really liked it.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
From playing those shows is like where, especially throughout just my personal musical endeavors, I've learned like musicians, no matter like how big they are, they're just regular people. Like even, I mean, of course you have some people with egos and stuff, but aside from that, like 90% of people that are big in music are just regular people that you can probably have a normal conversation with. So
Yeah, I think like Oso, maybe a year or two ago, I mean, they were just starting out too, weren't they?
yeah, pretty much they were out getting on their like first like support tours and everything. So they're doing great now as well. So it's awesome to see that.
They've worked really, really hard.
Yeah.
So where did you play with The Last Dinosaur? Was that just like a show for them, or was this?
Oh, it was at the Orpheum. So that one was cool because we'd never played at the Orpheum before. It was like probably the biggest stage we've played at so far.
Yeah.
And so it was a similar situation where it was like come in, open. But that one we actually didn't even have to sell tickets for, which was nice. They just needed like a supporting act, and we promoted it really well and stuff and brought like a bunch of people, so it worked well. But that was like the biggest stage we played on, so that was a good one.
Yeah. I always wanted to play the Orpheum too. I was so excited when I got it.
that
I
was
was like,
amazing.
oh.
Seriously, yeah.
The sound there is like insane. So like we have like in our live set, sometimes we'll use like these backtracks where we have like bass drops and like really big parts. So like the walls were literally like shaking and stuff.
Shaking the dust off the ceilings. It was awesome.
And it was funny because like the crowd that Last Dinosaurs brings out and Born Ruffians, like they're definitely like open-minded people that just want like some good rock music. But we were like, oh, these kids might absolutely hate this because like some of our stuff, as you probably know, is like louder rock with like distorted guitars and stuff. Some of it's more
clean.
chill.
Yeah.
But they're like pretty much just like straight like indie pop the whole time.
Yeah.
But to our surprise, like people were digging it. Like the
Yeah,
whole
for sure.
crowd was just like going crazy and stuff.
We
And
definitely made like a lot of good personal connections too, because there was like, for example, there was 2 people that we just saw that came out to our other shows, 2 of our dates for this tour that we're on right now. One person in Miami, and then another person that actually helped us find a house show venue to book in Charleston. And she came out too with her boyfriend and everything. It was really, really awesome. Or was it just her friend? I don't know.
I don't know. Either way,
So
it was,
either way.
people that saw us at the Last Dinosaur
Yeah,
show,
it was
like
cool.
that came from like all over, from like South Carolina, from like Miami. They like kept up with us afterwards and like helped us with some things on this tour and like came out and supported us in like a way smaller setting. So
And like,
it was cool to see.
it's always cool too, because like at the end of the day, it's like a nice reminder, because that's like what really doing the whole music thing is about. It's just like making those personal connections with people and like getting that close relationship and being able to, you know, go miles away from home but still feel like, you know, you're welcomed and that you have a place, you know, because you're so comfortable with the people there. So it's cool.
Well, I guess that's a good transition.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So, how did you guys kind of come to play in Valdosta? I know that you played the DIY house before. Tonight, you guys are playing Lucky's.
So honestly, how that worked out is we were just looking for places to play around Florida and also maybe a little bit out of Florida. We had just recently played Tallahassee before we played the last Valdosta date at the DIY house. So we actually had a couple of people at that first Tallahassee show come out that were from Valdosta, and we basically met them, talked with them, chatted with them, found out where they were from, and then I kind of did a little bit of research on my own once I got home from that gig. Found Alan from the DIY house on Facebook and everything, saw what he was doing with the DIY house, and I was like, this is really cool. I would love to do a show like that. So I just messaged him and I'm like, hey man, is there any way that we can get on this date, yada yada? And he's like, yep, sure, you guys are on. It was like that easy. It was so cool. We're like, oh, well, that's fun. So yeah, we did that, and then just made really good friends with Mama Stone and everybody. So it was really cool. Definitely like left a good impression of Valdosta.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when we met them and we had that connection to the DIY house and we were booking this tour ourselves, as DIY booking tours goes, like your initial route is never really like what's gonna end up happening. So we ended up having like Tally on like the Friday, and then we had the Atlanta show on Wednesday. We're like, oh, what are we possibly gonna do in between? And it was like, oh well, Valdosta is like the perfect spot to hit coming back into Florida, and we asked him if we could do at the DIY house, but he's really good about only doing like at most like 2 shows a week, or usually it's just 1, just to like not keep it oversaturated. And they have like one, I think it was like tomorrow, or it was like yesterday.
I think it was yesterday.
Yeah. So we're like, all right, well, let's still try for like another venue, because all our connections that we made, they can help us out with something. And Mama Stone recommended Lucky's Moonrakers, because it's kind of like the college bar, but also like kids will come out there to see a show too, so kind of hopefully get a little bit of both of that crowd tonight. So
hopefully turn some New Year's on too. It's always nice to do that.
Yeah, I believe it was the owner I talked to. His name's Erlen. Super chill guy. He was like, yeah, we can set that up. It's a late night show, but it's cool because like it's the bar scene. So like on a Thursday night, people are just gonna be going out to the bars, and hopefully they'll just stumble upon a good show.
Yeah, I Moonrakers, I know that a few musicians I've talked to say that's one of their favorite venues to play. It has really good sound and that sort of thing, from what they've said.
That's awesome, yeah. So it'll kind of be like a nice step up from like the house show scene to like a little bit of a bigger venue and stuff. So it'll be fun to kind of try that out here as well.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll be as nice as that place in Tampa that y'all played at. But
Oh, yeah.
but so
It'll still be nice.
It'll still be very nice.
The beauty of like how we've done this tour is like we're getting like the full spectrum of different places to play at. We're doing like the house show to like some DIY spots to like nicer venues. Like in Orlando, we played at this place called Hennow that was like way bigger room, but like the sound was incredible. Last night, similar situation, and then we're playing Crowbar as well. So we're getting like the full spectrum of kind of like smaller-ish venues to like bigger ones where you can kind of sound really good and stuff. So
actually, a funny story. So we were in Orlando and we played Backtracks. So our friend Jack in 0 miles per hour was going to the bathroom, and we sound checked one of the backtracks, and we have a bass drop in it, and apparently it shook the walls while he was taking a crap in there. So
they're like usual like type of event. There's like EDM like club stuff, so they're like their ability to push bass out is like unreal. And so when we were sound checking, literally the floor of the stage were like shaking. So it felt epic to play, even though it was like maybe 50 people in like a 300 cap room. It was still a great time.
It was cool. Yeah, definitely a really, really unique venue.
Yeah, it was nice.
Where are y'all headed after this show tonight? Like, where's your next stop?
We're actually going to Tallahassee.
Okay.
Yeah, so really quick, easy drive over. We're going to be recording at
KOTP Records.
Yeah.
Before, and we're recording in the morning. Going to do like a little cool like chilled out version of our song. We both know it's gonna be like acoustic, but still like clean guitar, bass still, and then he's gonna do like light drums. So the dude at KOTP is super awesome. We ran into him at Publix. The last time we were in Tally, I was wearing an Adalia shirt, which was like an old Tampa metal band. And he was like, "Yo, dude, I like your shirt," and I was like, "Oh." I think he was wearing like a Misery Signals shirt or something. I was like, dude, I like your shirt. And we were chatting for a little bit and told him we were playing here. And he does like a lot of recordings for like hardcore bands and stuff, but he's also super like tied into like other styles of music. So when he saw us coming back through, he was like, yo, come through and record before your show. And we're like, of course, like that would be amazing.
We were like, how much is it going to be? He's like, oh, it's the 5-finger discount. Cool.
That's cool.
I don't know what that means, but
we're still gonna throw in like a good tip and everything. We can't just do that. But
we need to do something like that for free.
I thought it was awesome. He reached out. He's such a cool guy. So it'll be fun to record there, and then playing at the Wilbury with like a bunch of other cool local bands. It's like the Cat Family Records like back to school show, so it should be really good. They say every year it does like it's one of the best shows.
Yeah, and the Wilbury is a great venue. I love it there.
Amazing.
And just went there not long ago. We the Kings played there.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah, so I went down there for that because again I'm old. So, like they were popular when I was.
Oh, I still like
your
them.
age.
Yeah, they're great. They're great.
No, I do like the lead singer. He's older now, and so he just talks about his kid a lot. And I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
man, I remember seeing you when you were not talking about your family on
He's
stage.
hilarious.
Like it's
man.
definitely weird to see people kind of grow up.
Oh,
But
It's cool though. It's cool.
yeah, but yeah, it's a great venue. I like their little bowling and everything.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah, it was
they,
cool.
they treat you really nicely too, and like just any like touring band in general or traveling band.
The hospitality's real.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
real. They give you like a free meal ticket, free drink ticket. It's really cool.
Mhm.
So they definitely like make sure they take care of their bands.
Yeah, and Cat Family Records is great. We both went to Cat Fest.
Cat Fest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. My fiance played down there, and then he went to see Beach Bunny.
Beach Bunny. That's
Beach
right.
Bunny.
Well,
Beach Bunny.
Yeah.
anticipated Beach Bunny. It turned out to be Beach Bunny, but it was just
the singer, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
no backing band. But I think it was pretty last minute for her. So.
Yeah.
That's
But
okay.
it was funny because like she would ask the audience to like, okay, I need you to sing this part because I forget how to play without this thing. So
That's funny.
it was kind of a
Crowd interaction.
Yeah.
show.
yeah.
It's cool though.
It was kind of a
At least
little bit of a
Yeah.
I guess a mess, but she made it work.
Yeah. It's
No,
always cool
it's
though. I
fun.
feel like those
Yeah.
are like really intimate shows that like people just tend to appreciate regardless. You know?
Yeah, definitely. It was like for such like a big stage and that sort of thing, it really did feel super intimate.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because it's so quiet. 'Cause it's just her and a guitar, of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
and an amp.
I mean, so kind of circling back, and again, not to focus on ages or anything like that, but what's it kind of like being on tour, being so young? And I mean, like, you can't drink. Can some of you drink? Can some of you
Yeah.
legally drink?
Us two can. Nick and Luca cannot legally drink.
No.
And
Doesn't mean have people don't buy me beers though.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
there are ways around that.
Yeah,
I'm just
certainly
saying,
is.
like,
They are, but they're not legal, so we
Yeah.
don't do that.
I mean, I'm
It's
typically
worse
I'm
than
driving the
that.
van a lot, so.
oh yeah, you can't buy cigarettes now
Yeah.
either.
No.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, I turned 21 thankfully in like less than a month, so I'm happy about that. I don't have to even worry.
Has that affected any venues at all, or do people even ask you?
No.
They're just kinda like, come on.
Luckily, most like 21 plus venues, like last night's was 21 plus. Like the exception is if you're performing,
Yeah.
you can do it. Obviously,
Yeah.
you can't like buy drinks or anything there, but a
I've-
performing act is allowed to be
Yeah.
underage.
I've
Usually.
rarely ever heard of people like not being able to stay in the venue. Like the most that I've heard is like when somebody that's under 21 playing in a 21 plus venue is that like you'll have to play your set and then you have to get out of the venue immediately after.
Yeah.
Which really sucks, but I think that's really rare.
So that's
That's
Yeah.
not really happened to us.
Yeah, but the age thing is never really an issue because like honestly most of the time we're like so exhausted that we don't really feel like drinking or
Right.
like partying or anything like that. But you know if we want to we'll finesse it somehow or like there'll be the
Yeah.
night where we like hang out and like go and like party with friends like probably in Tampa or like maybe in Tally or
Yeah.
maybe tonight, who knows?
Tonight.
It might be tonight, but you know, there a lot of the times, especially when it's like a new place and we're kind of the only people that we know. Afterwards, we're just so tired. We just want to get to wherever we're staying, chill out, and then go to bed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially when you're doing everything yourself, like loading the van,
Oh, yeah.
unloading it, like
It's a
driving
workout.
and everything.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
like
Yeah.
it would be almost be taxing to like get hammered
Yeah.
after.
Really is.
How's
Yeah.
it been kind of traveling together? You guys all get along. Do you
Day-
secretly hate one another?
Day 7, nothing's funny anymore.
Yeah.
Jokes are funny.
Let's just put it this way. Last night, we got to my buddy's house that we were crashing at, and we were all kind of chatting for a little bit. He was super tired. He fell asleep, and he snores like a wildebeest. So, like, after 10 minutes of him snoring, we just put earplugs up his nose. And he woke up, I'm pretty sure, very confused and terrified.
I don't remember it, so I don't know.
But no, I mean, for the most part, you know, we get along. Like, we might like yell at each other or something every now and then, but it's pretty
But
chill.
it's
Definitely
Yeah.
Italian rage.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Italian.
You gotta keep the
Italian
train on the
club,
tracks.
Yeah.
Luca and Nick are very Italian, so they'll get into it.
Ah.
Yeah.
We're in the front and the back. I don't interact with it.
Yeah.
but we don't butt heads.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like we're a family, so it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's brothers bicker.
Yeah, brothers bicker.
Yeah,
It's nothing ever personal or serious.
No,
Having-
nothing, no grudges or anything.
Having Amanda with this though certainly keeps us more sane because
Definitely.
there's the one person that's like, all right, guys,
Enough's enough.
It's not funny anymore.
Get it together, straighten yourself out.
So Amanda's a photographer for anybody listening.
Yeah. Photographer doing many more than just photography things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And guidance.
She has been a
Yes.
blessing. So
She's been helping us with merch, photography, like videography, content stuff, and yeah, she helps like load and stuff too. So it's been great.
Yeah. So what have you guys put out so far as a band? Like music put out?
You can go. No, you can go ahead, man.
All right, so we put out an album recently, January 3rd, and before that we put out 4 singles, and we started, what month did we start again?
It's like in July.
July, yeah.
July 2019.
Mm-hmm.
July 2019, we started putting out the music, and we started with Departure being the first single, and we did a music video for that one. And then after that, we did American Siesta.
Yeah, that was in like later August. We actually released that the day of the Oso Oso show. Or was it the day after?
It's like the night.
Yeah, I think it was like the night of.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
yeah, lined up really nicely.
Yeah.
And then we did.
You didn't plan that. It just
No,
happened.
no,
Okay.
yeah.
That kind
That's
of
cool.
just ended up
Yeah, that's
happening.
well.
But yeah, and then we released 2 more singles after that, just to kind of keep a growing audience, because as like a really new band, we didn't want to just drop the album with not releasing anything,
Yeah,
not playing enough
no.
shows, not having music out
Promotion.
prior. Yeah, exactly, because you're kind of just shooting yourself in the foot, and like you're not getting as many ears on the album as possible. So we kind of just went about that, put out as much as we could and try to make as many good connections and play as many places as we could, and then just plan this tour around the release of the album, and worked out pretty well. And we just released that.
So is this the first tour you guys have done as Rohna?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
First one. So yeah, first tour, and then all we really have out is just one 10-song album that was like, this is everything that represents us as the starting point of this band. So we didn't really like, when we were kind of writing everything, we ended up having way more than like an EP. And like so many bands like release an EP as like their first thing, which is totally cool. Everyone does their own thing, but we're like, we have all these songs that are so like varied and they're all so special to us that we couldn't like strip them down to 6 or 5 to make an EP. We're like, we have an album, like let's just put this out as one big piece of music that we're super proud of. And I think people are getting that, and like it seems that like especially with this tour and like the album coming out, people are like, oh, okay, these dudes are like actually trying to do something different, doing something more serious than just release an EP and play locally. Like they're trying to play to new places, new people, and they have all this music that's like serious, good quality music. So that was kind of the goal, was to just release something that somewhat made a statement, but to us was just something we're super proud of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys have been writing songs for how long for this album?
We started writing it, I think it was back in 2018. Yeah, back in like the
So
summer.
even
of
before the
2018.
band was
Yeah.
Right, Rohna.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Before there was even a name for the band or for the album, we just started by basically just writing them in my bedroom. That's where we practice. We would meet like twice a week just to get together, just jam, write some stuff, and demo things out. And it took about 8 months, 7 to 8 months to write it all. And then we decided to go to Savannah, Georgia, to go to Low Watt Recordings, which is really awesome studio. It's run by Sean and Brendan Kelly, and they're really good guys. They're the ones that helped us produce the album. But yeah, we brought it to them, and we recorded there for 10 days. It was actually pretty much exactly a year ago from today. But yeah, we recorded with them and did it all in 10 days, and it was just really effortless and just went so smooth.
Yeah, a lot of cool things kind of happened in the studio as well. That made little pieces of the album more magical than it would have been if it was just exactly how we had planned it. They brought other ideas to like the structure of some of the songs that made them flow a lot more smoothly. So it was kind of like this really cool collaborative effort that, as the product on its own, it kind of represents that great experience.
Do you remember any like specific song where that happened or anything?
Two. So in Rosewater, there was this one part where there's like this really long like percussive build up with a lot of synths in the background and stuff. It's really ambient, and we were all in one room with probably 1 to 2 different percussive instruments each, and we were all just kind of like layering weird things at the same time. So it was basically this big drum circle as we were recording the song, and that was just crazy and primitive. And then there was another part in the song We Both Know where I ended up just doing this weird like 4 on the floor kick thing that wasn't originally there, which basically just means that I'm like like on every single beat, and it makes it a lot more like punchy. And that was just something that happened in the demo.
What was really cool too, and the way that we recorded it, which we would have never really done before in any prior times that we had been recording. They actually had it to where the guitars were isolated in different rooms.
Yeah.
And then the bass was plugged into the soundboard itself.
Yeah.
Or the console. And the drums were all mic'd up and actually being tracked. So you'd get the rhythm section actually like recorded together really nice and tight.
Like we played all the songs together.
Yeah.
Like pretty much all of them all the way through. We just tracked basically like scratch takes as like a live session, and then pretty much kept everything from drums and bass from that, and then they just went in and like fine-tuned the guitars and stuff.
So it's a very like live feeling album just because of the way that we recorded it too, which is really awesome because that's just like the thing when you take songs that you worked on and have written for such a long time and demoed 3 or 4 times, you take it to a studio and you do things with it that you're not used to doing, and you're able to let them evolve into like their biggest version that you have of them yet. And also like things like what Luke is saying where we could add things like a drum circle into it and like extra percussion, and like we were able to do that with so many different songs or so many other songs in the album too, and like add weird synths, add like piano, things like that.
Baritone guitar.
Yeah, baritone guitar too.
My favorite thing that we did, like all these things were like, we were able to do this because we were like so prepared. Like we knew exactly what we wanted from these songs. So like the songs were tracked in like at most 3 takes. So like everything, we had so much time to just add extra cool stuff. And so my favorite thing was at the end of Departure, there's just this like wall of sound that hits you. And the way we recorded that was we pretty much took like almost every single amp that they had in there, and they just had a room mic like in the center of the studio. We had almost all the amps that they had, and like 5 or 6 of us were just making feedback and like as much noise as possible. So it was like then there was in like multiple rooms too, so we just tracked like a massive wall of just sound and noise for that like ending part that kind of like fades out.
Just turned on as many fuzz pedals with the amps as possible and just cranked the amps up.
If you didn't have earplugs in there, you would your
head would probably have exploded. So it was just like little things like that when you're in such a cool studio with all these extra things, you can add so much texture and like cool things to your album. Whereas if we weren't prepared and we were like messing up took like one song far too long to record, then we wouldn't have been able to
same.
Yeah, so it helped that we took plenty of time to be prepared.
And the environment too. Like that's
it was really cool.
It was an amazing place.
When I picture bands recording in studios, I usually just imagine like the console room and then like the recording room, and that's it. It sounds like there was multiple rooms that were playing in.
There was 2 rooms.
No, there's 3.
There's 3 or 4 actually.
But like some of them had
4.
They have it set up a little differently now, but basically what the studio is in the basement of this apartment complex that's like right in downtown Savannah, so no windows or anything. You walk up and you're like right in downtown like historic Savannah.
I didn't even know they have basements up there.
Oh yeah.
It's actually right by I think it's right across the street from the Bank of America. It's like if you go there in the winter time, you'll see like the big Christmas tree. It's like right on that corner. It's really cool.
It's funny too because it's sandwiched in between like a Panera and this like noodle shop.
Yeah,
and you walk into the apartment complex and there's like a stairway leading down, and you would think it's like maintenance or something like that because the Low Watt logo is a big light bulb. It's just like a light bulb and then this blue line going down. It's just like, oh, I don't want to go down there. It's like electrical stuff, and then you open up this door and there's like a tiki hut and couches, the logo and everything like
electrical
that.
stuff.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Behind
A little bit creepy too, because there was like a meat
like an old it was like an old meat cooler, meat
yeah,
storage,
it was like a big
meat cellar thing.
cellar. Yeah,
The
it was
building itself
very
is like
interesting.
super old, so they have like
Probably
different
haunted.
different rooms that like they just don't use. And one they were selling used to be like a just naturally super cold meat cellar that they use for storage, but like it's pitch black in that room and it's like super cold. So like it was just a very spooky environment, but like they have it very welcoming and very kind of hip and cool. It looks really nice.
Yeah, it was cool too. And like to answer your question with the layout of the studio, it was really sick. They had like the control room, then they had 2 isolation rooms on like the side of the control room, and with just one big open room for like the drums, the piano, and all that stuff. They switched it around now though to where the drums are where the control room was, and the control room is where the drums were. So they flipped it around a lot.
It's like everything's isolated in its own room now.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Outside of the like main studio, they have like a little lounge and then like
Yeah.
this small kitchen with like a microwave and stuff. So we were basically living off of our air mattresses, these couches, and then like making awful meals in a microwave and like this kettle
Not too
cooker.
bad.
I was
Luca did really good with the meals.
I made
Luca did really, really
A
well.
full ravioli meal and tacos out of a plastic water kettle that's just meant for boiling water.
Wow.
If you wanted that
Yeah.
microwave to work, you'd have to slam that door.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah,
because the sensor was like
Yeah.
off, and we like were trying to figure it out for so long. Like if you push it in softly, it wouldn't like sense it. So like you had to slam that thing.
They all made their attempts at it, and then I just like walked in and I'm like, no, this thing has to work. And I just go like slammed it.
Everyone was like, oh, no, wait.
It works.
Right.
Yeah, so we got our aggression out for having to cook like that. You know, just by being that microwave.
door.
Yeah. Did a slamming microwave door appear on the album?
Ooh, it
I'm
should've.
sure.
That-
I didn't think of
Oh.
that sample.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
that
it's-
would have been a good one.
I'm sure like the frequency of it is like somewhere in the
Buried in
background.
there
like,
somewhere,
yeah.
very quietly.
There definitely was a lot of cooking going on in between takes, so it's got to be in the background.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully. But yeah, no, it was a fun studio for sure.
Amazing.
That's awesome. So, where did the name "The Beautiful Ordinary" come from?
That's a good question for Andres to answer.
Andres will answer that one.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, we were like, we had the band name figured out, and we had this album and everything, and we were all wanting like a cool name that like wasn't just like a song name from the album, because we felt like all the songs were representative of themselves, so we wanted something to kind of just encompass all of it. And something that sounded like mystical but wasn't like too hard to remember or anything like that. And I can't remember when I had first heard the word, but I was watching this like Joe Rogan podcast, and he was talking, I don't remember who the guy was, but he was talking about like this meditative state and like this kind of state of the natural way that the universe works, where it's like you're not in like a hyper like positive state, you're not in like a super low state, you're kind of somewhere in the middle. And that's where like a lot of like things tend to kind of blossom, and that kind of idea of like a flow state, he was calling that like mindset the beautiful ordinary, which I had like never heard of before. And so I kind of took it as like it would be the perfect name for our album, because that kind of concept was essentially what it took to make the album. Like we needed tons of balance, from even just writing to just things that were going on in our lives. We needed to balance all these things to create something that was like organic, and something that wasn't like you're trying too hard to where it's like forced in a positive direction, or you're just not giving it enough to where it's going in a negative direction. It was just very much so in the middle. And it kind of was just like one of those things too, whereas like from a literal standpoint of the word itself, a lot of the most beautiful things in life tend to be like the most ordinary of things. So we felt like this album to us was like very beautiful, and it was stemming from a very organic place. So it kind of was just a nice encompassing word for the whole album. But, that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah. When he explained that to me, I was like,
Yeah.
cool.
Everyone agrees
works.
with it. So
Right,
we're just-
yeah.
It's like, yeah, why not?
Yeah, it was like I heard because we were looking for the names. I was just randomly watching this podcast, and I heard him say that, and like just the way it sounded, I got like chills because I was like, yo, that's gotta be it. And I like looked it up, and there's not like any actual like meaning to it. I think there was like a movie in like the 90s called that or something, but
Beautiful ordinary.
yeah, it really doesn't have like anything, no actual definition, which is kind of similar to our band name. So I took like this guy like explaining his like life experience behind where he was saying that word. I kind of inspired me to kind of come up with its own sort of meaning that would encompass the album. So yeah. That's kind of a long answer. But
No, I think
Yeah,
it's cool.
I think it's
The whole
I just
flow state
imagine you
thing.
explaining that to them and them just being like, "Cool, man."
yeah, right.
There was a long period of time of just sending crap into the group chat over
Oh,
text
yeah.
message, and it's just like, no,
No.
like, what are you thinking? No, yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
So when it came and it was
Went through a lot
fitting,
of
it
those.
was like, yes, we need to,
I was happy when
Lock
they
it
were
in.
down with it. So, and it's nice too because it's actually the last lyric on the album. So we wrote like this cool like the last like stanza of the album kind of encompasses like all the themes throughout the album, and so it like starts off with like the beautiful ordinary, and then it like goes through all these like stanzas, and then it ends with the beautiful ordinary, and that's where the album ends. So
Yeah, we kind of wrote that like last portion of it in a really weird way to where it like almost loops around like in a
Yeah.
continuous like never-ending cycle,
Mm-hmm.
which was just kind of like also like something that we kept in mind too as like a theme for the song, like, you know, just like a never-ending like momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like also the idea behind the band, like we kind of want this to be like a, you know, unstoppable force sort of thing. So it's kind of like same thing with that with that last song.
That like last paragraph of lyrics is cool because it like encompasses everything, but you also could just take it as like if you were just to read it as a poem, it like makes sense and it like basically loops.
Yeah.
You could just like read it on
Over
end
and
and
over
it would
and
never
over,
really
yeah.
end. So yeah, that was what really made the album name cool to me because it really ties in with so many different factors that we would probably be the only people that would notice, but like if you really listen and like read all the lyrics, you're like, oh, this is all like interconnected somehow.
I know I'm a huge nerd for when like any artist like writes some lyrics that I really like and I just like want to read them and stuff.
Yeah.
I know I'm a huge nerd for like looking for the little minute things like that. So if there's anyone else that does that, it's really cool that they can hopefully like partake in that same thing, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like in a perfect world, like you mentioned wanting to look for certain things in different artists. In a perfect world, who would you guys ideally want to play with?
Yeah.
Oh,
Let's go
man.
around.
All right, you go first.
Yeah,
Shoot.
seriously.
Let's let Luca go first. Let's let Luca
Oh,
go
because I got
first.
excited. All right.
Wait. So, is this like dead or alive or like currently alive?
You know what? We can go with both. Just,
Okay. Pick 3.
I'm gonna pick 1 dead and 2 alive.
Okay.
If all the members of Pink Floyd,
Yeah. That'd be cool.
then probably the band, the Mars Volta.
Oh, yeah.
When they come back. If you're hearing this, let us know. Yeah, the Mars Volta,
Please,
and
Omar.
then honestly, I guess this band John. It's one of my favorite bands. I don't know how fitting it would be, but same thing. In a perfect world, if we could play with whoever, that would definitely be an amazing thing for me.
For me, it would probably be Tame Impala would be amazing to like play or tour with. Tame Impala, Pink Floyd, if they were to like come back or something, that would be amazing because they're like a really big influence. And then I don't know, someone like super weird that I'm just like obsessed with, like Kendrick Lamar or something, like something that doesn't make sense at all, but like I absolutely love them, like Kendrick, or like I don't know, like this hardcore band called Turnstile would be like amazing to play
so
with.
much fun.
So like
Sounds cool.
I'd say those 3.
Austin.
Honestly, I don't know. I feel like Black Sabbath might be kind of cool to play with. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
it'd be kind of cool.
That would be a good experience.
But yeah, what Lucas said, I like to play with Sean because big influence, and then I don't know. You know, there's so many bands out there that like.
Come on,
One more.
Just squeeze it. Come on.
Just one more.
Yeah.
All right.
I know it's tough. Just like whatever floats.
Whatever floats in my head. All right, hold on.
I'll answer for you. I will throw one more.
All right, just throw it.
All right, I think you would love TTNG.
Oh, I play TTNG. Yeah. Of course I would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big influence. Yeah.
Personally, I would love to play share stage with Queens of the Stone Age, just because they are.
Okay, wait. I take that back. Let's take one of those out and go Queens of Stone Age. But yeah.
Yeah. No, just because like growing up, that was like such a huge influence. Getting into like just weirder like rock music and stuff, and more experimental sounds. Because like I'm sure if you probably ever listened to them, you know, every single one of their albums and songs are always like a different sound, and that's just was a huge like influence for us writing this music. So that would be a sick band for us to play with, and I would just love to see, because I saw him when I was like 15, and actually he was at that
the same show
before I ever knew him too.
Nice.
We're both big Queens of the Stone Age fans because they both brought us into rock music essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that would be one. Man, I mean, definitely, I guess you gotta say Pink Floyd because it's just the coolest, man. And then the last one. Oh man.
How could you not say Chili Peppers? That's like
Yeah,
your
the Chili
favorite
Peppers
band.
too. Yeah. That for my 13-year-old self, I'd have to say like the Chili Peppers too, just because like Frusciante is.
He's the biggest
awesome.
Frusciante fan.
Oh yeah,
Or
Frusciante
Kind of
is
looks
the
like
coolest.
him.
Say one,
I was
like,
going to say, yeah, that makes
say
sense.
one that's like relatively realistic.
Relatively real.
Yeah.
Okay, relatively
You shoot
realistic.
big.
I know. Well, we're saying in a perfect world, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it would be really cool to play with like Citizen or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
that'd be awesome.
Citizen is so cool, and they've been such like ever since like getting into like hardcore scene, like the DIY or like smaller band, like mid-tier touring bands. That was a huge band that like influenced us, I could say.
Any run for cover band, really.
Yeah, any run for
Yeah.
cover band.
Another band we really like that, if they ever come back, would love to play with them is this band called Title Fight.
Oh my
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
They're like-
Title Fight.
Yeah, they're like a huge influence on us too. So whenever they come back, we're gonna try him
We're
up
ready.
or something.
Yeah, right?
But, yeah.
Oh, actually, one more. Microwave.
Oh yeah.
Because they're from Georgia.
Microwave would be awesome.
Yeah.
They are
Yeah,
such cool.
they're really cool.
Such cool guys.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of bands we'd like to play with, so
Right.
you know,
Yeah, the list would
The
never
list-
end.
it's
Yeah.
just going on and on.
Yeah.
But like 3 favorites, that's pretty much like that's
Ballpark.
it. Yeah, ballpark. Yeah.
Ballpark, yeah.
It seems
That's
pretty
pretty awesome,
encompassing of your sound, kind of based on
Yeah.
what you guys said. You know,
Definitely.
I like that you all love Pink Floyd so much.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that's like when I was growing up, my dad would like lull me with that in the car when I'm like 2 years old, 2 or 3 years old. So like some of my first memories, like in the car listening to Dark Side of the Moon, and then like falling asleep, and then I just wake up to Time with all the clocks going on. I'm like, oh, what is he
Yeah.
playing?
Yeah.
So that's like just some of my earliest memories listening to music.
Talking about a band evolving, Pink Floyd is just like
Oh, yeah.
the definitive standard. For
Absolutely.
It. Or the Beatles maybe, but
Them
Beatles
too.
are great, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Beatles are awesome.
I don't know. But,
Yeah, that's another one too. Just like definitely a huge influence on like the whole experimental idea too. Just like those older bands that obviously they're huge, way bigger than any band ever could be nowadays. But you know,
Ozzy Osbourne's still kicking around. So
Yeah.
He's on some
Yeah,
He is
Channel
indeed.
track,
Yeah, no, I was there. He's-
he's
doing
bouncing
things.
on the stage. And he's got rock in there.
he doesn't move much
No,
anymore.
he doesn't.
He stands in the one place.
Yeah.
He's getting it done. But I mean, you can say that about so many bands. All the bands I liked in high school, they're starting to get on up there too. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's like 70 though.
He
right?
is.
He's up-
He
he's
is.
up
He is
there now.
old.
Yeah.
And he's Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a hard life.
You know, I think Sarah and I were just talking about this recently, seeing people like Simple Plan and stuff now, like
Oh,
how much
Yeah.
older they are.
Yeah.
You're like, oh gosh, I remember.
Yeah.
I saw a Simple Plan when
Warped Tour.
the last
Yeah.
Warped Tour. My
Yeah.
my friend Anna gave me like a pass, so I was able to go backstage, and I was watching them, and literally like one of their kids was just on the side like she was just dancing around and stuff. I'm like, dude, this guy's living the life. Like, he's playing in an arena. He's got his wife and kid just like chilling on the side. Like, he's hanging. He's made his mark now. He's just enjoying it.
Yeah, which I do think is super cool. I mean, it's like watching. I watched the video of like Blink-182 watching kids listen to his music now.
Yeah,
like,
that reaction.
them just reacting, and I was because they do the same thing. I saw Angels and Airwaves, and Tom DeLonge had his kid just like off to the side, and I was like, ah, look at that.
Yeah, it's cute.
But yeah, it also makes you feel very old.
Oh yeah, definitely.
One day you guys feeling like that. And we always joke too. I was always a big fan of the Used, and seeing them before he got off drugs and after he got off drugs. And I was like, see, it's just like a era. Like you watch people evolve and stuff. It's super cool. But I was gonna ask about your influences, but honestly, you guys probably knocked that out.
Pretty much. The whole spectrum is everything from like old classic rock that we listen to like new wide spectrum of rock stuff, and then we all listen to like weird like jazz and like hip hop and like hardcore metal.
Pretty much
everything. Definitely a lot of funk too.
It's good to be eclectic. I mean, you know, it's not good to like put yourself in one corner.
We love all music.
Yeah, actually on the way here we were listening to a really funny playlist that I have. That's I call it my 80s trash and thrash music. Nice. Literally just have like bad 80s songs and really thrashy 80s songs.
Oh, cool.
And like, I'm not even a big fan of 80s music, but I just love to like put that on sometimes.
The yin and yang of 80s.
Yeah, it's cool though. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, we never want to like close ourselves off from like genres to listen to. Like,
I even like orchestra music because I used to play in orchestra, so like that's like we all just that's all our influences, pretty much everything. Besides like, I don't know, country.
Yeah. Country. Well, no. Even then, though, there's still good country music out there. There's definitely still good country.
You like Neil Young and everything.
I mean, he's more like folk.
He's not really country.
I can dig some folk stuff. But I've never been like directly into like
just that modern country.
No, I think country is a very broad term.
It is.
You have like your Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash type of stuff.
That's
and then
awesome.
you have this like newer kind of almost
pop.
Casey Musgraves is cool.
She has really crossed genres.
She's cool though.
But her stuff is great. I mean, I also don't listen to much like generic modern country, but I do think that she's really
she has stood out a lot and definitely has like helped make the genre kind of look more evolved, or at least it helped me take it more serious.
Yeah.
So, I was like, definitely.
I think that's good. So,
I was gonna say I got my.
Cool. Yeah, I think we can call it a rest.
All right, cool. So people can find your music online, all streaming platforms.
It's on all streaming platforms, and then all our social media is Rohna Music. It's just ROHNA Music, and the whole album's on pretty much anywhere you can find music. If you have a Tesla too, it'll be in your Tesla streaming service as well, because somehow they got that to work, but
I didn't even know that existed.
The album is in your Tesla.
For all of our listeners with a Tesla,
listen to our album and send us your money.
I was about to say, if you can afford a Tesla, just hit us up.
Send us a Tesla too.
All right, this has been Off the Record with Rohna.
All right.
Awesome.
Peace.
Thank you.
Good night.